Hi guys, and welcome to another batch of your replays. Today's replays were both sent in by Beyond D, and when Beyond D sends me in replays, they're usually very interesting. So this is the 113, the Tier 10 Chinese heavy tank, and you don't see very many of them on the battlefield because, to be perfectly honest, it's not very good. Now, I haven't gotten to the 113 yet. I've kind of stalled on the grind to the higher tier Chinese heavies, simply because it's not a tank I'm really in a hurry to get to. It doesn't get a very good reputation. It does some things well, it does a lot of things badly, but you don't see a lot of them on the battlefield as a result. The 113 is a very small tank, as you can see. For a tier 10 heavy, it is extremely small. It's almost more like a medium tank. And the armor isn't particularly good, so I might as well just pop into Tanks GG for this. As it's the first time the tank has been on the channel, I might as well spend some time talking about it. Yeah, the armor, very underwhelming, especially for a tier 10 heavy tank, and like a lot of Chinese heavy tanks, starting with the lower glacis, which is very weak. It's got a very big, very weak lower glacis, 138 millimeters of effective armor, shooting it straight on. That's going to be penned by pretty much every single tank this tank can face in World of Tanks. So the lower glacis is extremely weak, and in addition to the lower glacis being extremely weak, it also suffers the same problem a lot of Chinese tanks do, which is their fuel tanks are mounted on the front of the tank. So shots into the lower glacis are going to set a 113 on fire. That's the primary reason I hate the 112. I don't rate the 112 very highly at all, and the 113 has exactly the same problem. Weak lower glacis and shots into the lower glacis are going to set you on fire. Now, the upper glacis is extremely well sloped, so that means that the upper glacis can bounce shots. It's got about 250 millimeters of effective armor on average, and that's okay when you're shooting straight at this tank. But remember, this is quite a small tank. It's quite a small heavy tank, so more than often what's going to happen is other heavy tanks or other tanks are going to be shooting down at you from above, and the armor loses a lot of effectiveness. As you can see, it's only about 120 millimeters thick, so it loses a lot of effectiveness if tanks are able to shoot down on your upper front plate. So yeah, the frontal armor is very underwhelming on this tank, and it gets worse because the cupolas are quite large, and as you can see, even though the top of the cupola is extremely good, the armor on the top of the cupola is extremely troll. The base of the cupola is only about 185, 190 millimeters thick. So again, there are lots of tanks that are going to be able to shoot this cupola, but you might as well just waste your time, or don't bother shooting the cupola at all, because the other problem for this tank is that the roof armor is extremely weak and it is exposed. So when you're shooting down, remember, most tanks are going to be taller than this tank, but even if you've got straight on shots, you're going to be able to hit the roof of this tank. It's only 40 millimeters of effective armor. It can be overmatched by a lot of guns in the game, and yeah, you're going to pen most of the time you shoot the turret roof of this tank. Now, having said that, a lot of players don't know to shoot the turret roof because you don't see a lot of 113s on the battlefield, and the frontal armor is actually okay. Again, there are lots of guns, especially if tier 10s are firing premium ammo. They're going to be able to go through the front of this turret, absolutely no problems. But if they're not firing premium ammo, then some tanks may have problems with the front of the turret. But all in all, the frontal armor is very weak. Now, the side armor is even weaker, because the side armor, the side of the turret, is only 163 millimeters thick. Now, the ammo rack for this tank happens to be here, so if you're shooting the side of the turret on a 113, there's a very good chance you're going to be able to hit his ammo rack. The side of the tank is very ineffective as well, so you've only got about 118 millimeters of armor above spaced armor. You've got 20 millimeters of spaced armor, but still the effective armor is only about 110 millimeters. There's a gap between the spaced armor and the tracks that's only 90 millimeters thick, and the tracks themselves are 20 millimeters of spaced armor, but it's still only about 110 millimeters of effective armor. So the side armor on this tank is absolutely garbage, and shots into the side of this tank is also going to damage its ammo rack. The rear of the tank is incredibly badly armored. You've only got 70 millimeters of armor on the rear, you've only got 82 millimeters at the base of the turret, and you've only got 40 millimeters of armor at the top of the turret. So again, if you're going to be firing or you get behind a 113, you can switch to HE and you could do full damage through the back of this tank. The armor really isn't very good, and that's why you don't see a lot of players playing it, because it really can't fulfill its role as a tier 10 heavy. And then we come to the gun, which is nothing special on this tank either, because it's got some of the worst penetration for its standard AP at tier 10. For a heavy tank, it gets 249 millimeters of penetration. That's going to be fine against lower tier tanks, but coming up against other tier 10 heavy tanks, the penetration is going to lack. But you do get decent alpha damage. The premium ammo comes in at 340 millimeters of penetration with heat, and again, that's probably going to be more than enough to deal with most of the tanks it's going to be facing, but it does mean you're going to have to fire heat. You can see Beyond D has roughly about a 50-50 spread between standard AP and heat on this tank. So the gun, the alpha damage is nice, the penetration's a little bit lacking on its standard AP, but it is quite accurate. It's a surprisingly accurate gun for a tier 10 heavy tank. On the other hand, the aim time isn't very good, and the gun depression is absolutely terrible. I'm getting a little bit tongue-tied here, but the gun depression is only 4 degrees over the front of the tank. So 4 degrees over the front and only 1 degree of gun depression over the rear of the tank. So gun depression, big negative. The aim time is another big negative, but the gun does have alpha and it has a decent rate of fire, so good DPM. So yeah, it's a very underwhelming tank, and that's why you don't see very many 113s on the battlefield. It struggles to kind of do the job of a heavy tank because it's outclassed by other tier 10 heavies, and it kind of, you can play it more like a medium tank because it does have 50 kilometers an hour top speed, but at the same time, it's, you know, there are medium tanks that can perform a hell of a lot better at tier 10 than a 113, so it's kind of like a heavy tank medium hybrid. It doesn't play the heavy tank role well, and it doesn't play the medium tank role well, so it's kind of, there's not really a place. It's very hard to find a place in the game for the 113. And as I say, that's why you probably don't see many people driving them, but it's the first time I'm featuring the tank on the channel, so we're going to go. And Beyond D is here on Tundra. It's a tier 10 game. He is obviously top tier as tier 10. Teams look fairly even. Maybe even the enemy team might be a little bit better than Beyond's team, but yeah, 2 teams do look fairly even. 4 tier 10s on either side, 3 tier 9s and a lot of tier 8s, but you can see that this tank isn't particularly sluggish, or isn't particularly quick. It's quite sluggish. Even though it's got a 50 kilometer an hour top speed, it takes a while to reach 50 kilometers an hour. So even when you try to play this as a medium tank, it's a little bit sluggish. But Beyond is going to the usual heavy line on the 1-2 lines. Love to see heavy tanks coming here, but what's actually happened is they've abandoned the 9-0 line, so they've only sent a Centurion and an AMX over to the 0 line, and the enemy team have a lot of medium tanks, so their team have pretty much given up on one flank, and the heavies are going to go to work here on the 1 line. Now this is a 9.8 replay, so T125 has had a buff since then, but Beyond is able to pen the cupola with standard AP. Would not be able to do that in 9.10 onwards. But you can see a bounce going for a cupola. Now, poor gun depression, but this tank can stay hull down. It's very good hull down, as long as players don't shoot your turret roof. As I say, a lot of people don't know how to shoot, or they should be shooting the turret roof. But Beyond is just doing the standard heavy roll here. And as long as enemy tanks don't have shots on his side, don't have shots on his turret roof, he can do okay. He's already up to almost 2k damage, and what I love here is Beyond D is prioritizing his targets. He actually manages to bounce the Waffenträger E100, but he's prioritizing his targets. He's going for the more dangerous tank. He's going for the Waffenträger E100. He's ignoring the IS-3s and the T-44s and things in front of him, and focusing on the Waffenträger E100. He's just bounced another shot. So, I mean, the frontal hull armor, or frontal turret armor on this tank, as I say, it's troll. It works or it doesn't, and Beyond D has just bounced 2 gold rounds from the Waffenträger. But he's moving up. Oh, and he's got rear shots on the T-34, so goes for the easy shot. He's up to 3k damage already. You can see the high alpha damage of this gun. Hasn't had to fire any premium. Just going to work on the tier 8s. E5 is a one-hit kill. He's focusing on other tanks. And gets a troll bounce. So, yes, his team have won this flank. Nothing left on the this flank for the enemy team. But in the meantime, as I say, they've lost the other flank and now they've got to go back and defend. So this E75 and Beyond D see the danger. They're already moving back long before the rest of their team. And a lot of their team are just continuing to push forward. So they're being capped, but their top tier heavy, the IS-7, is continuing towards enemy spawn. Beyond D does have a Type T29 to his left. He's getting spammed with gold. There's a really, really poor side armor, but he's got to come back and defend. There are only 7 seconds, 6 seconds, and he resets on 5 seconds of cap. He takes a couple of hits as a result, but he's reset. Now this tank is absolutely terrible at side scraping because it's got very, very poor side armor, but at the same time the tracks do absorb the shot. He manages to bounce a Panther 88 at distance, so you know the armor is not good on this tank, but against lower tier tanks, especially at distance, it can work. But you could see, yeah, Panther 88 in the hill penning the side of Beyond's tank. Beyond has had to use a repair kit, and Type 61 has come down, but for a heavy tank you can see that the reload is quite quick. They're still being capped. Beyond managed to reset both tanks that were capping. The E75 has come around to flank. Beyond D is moving forward, struggling with his gun depression, gets a shot down into the Type 61, bounces the Panther 88 on the hill, but he's on 5.6k damage and misses out on a kill on the T69. His team are congratulating him. Good job, 113. But it cost him quite a bit of health. Speaking of health, this tank, actually another positive for the tank is it gets 2,300 health, which is very good for a tier 8 heavy. And it kind of needs its health because it trades health for armor. But in the meantime, Beyond D has put in another 2 shots, one on a T54E, one on the hill, another on a Patton. It takes him up to 6.5k damage. Scratch that, he's on 7k damage. You can see that the DPM and the alpha damage really add up on this tank. The accuracy is okay, but the aim time and gun depression is suck. But oh, T54E1 is back. Beyond takes him out. Nice high alpha damage on this gun means he needed a below average roll, a very below average roll not to kill him in one shot. But he's pulled it back. That's his first kill of the game. He's done 7.5k damage and has only managed 1 kill so far. But he's chasing down this T62A, who's ignoring the 113. And Beyond should have more than enough penetration to go through the front of his tank, considering he's run out of regular AP. Ran out of regular AP quite some time ago. He's on the premium ammo. He's only got 7 shells of premium ammo left. Just 1 tank left on the enemy team, the Panther 88. But Beyond picks up his second kill. He's on 8k damage. And this is a tank that's not rated very highly. I think it's not a very good tank, and most players you talk to will say it's not a very good tank, but Beyond is having a very good game here. So really I think this tank's main strength, as I say, it's got 50 kilometers an hour top speed, but it very rarely reaches that speed, as you can see here. It's very sluggish. And the armor, underwhelming, but the DPM and the alpha damage, very good. So, Beyond still being congratulated in chat. He's moving up. Panther 88's only on 148. Beyond's got 340mm of penetration with his heat ammo, but fails to pen the Panther 88. Takes a hit in as a result, but he's got a reload, as I say, the reload very good on the tank. Finishes the Panther off for kill number 3. And 8.1k damage. So a big game for Beyond in the 113. As I say, you don't see a lot of 113s on the battlefield. It's a little bit underwhelming. It's not quite a heavy tank, and it's not quite a medium tank. It kind of struggles to find a role in games when you play the 113. But it was a big game. Beyond D picked up his ace, he picked up a Confederate, he picked up a steel wall, picked up Defender, picked up high caliber. Really good work on the one line, taking out the enemy heavies, then came back and defended, reset the cap with 5 seconds left, reset both enemy cappers, and then just continued on to have a very big game. 1,222 XP earned, 8,164 damage done, and 3 kills. Took him a while to start getting the kills, but very good damage game. And the gun, I mean, it's got high alpha damage, it's got a good rate of fire, it's got good DPM, and it's got good accuracy. But unfortunately it lacks gun depression and the aim time isn't very good. But at close to medium range, where Beyond was doing a lot of work, he was able to get 27 shots fired, 24 hits, 20 penetrations, and he fires through his entire stock of AP. The penetration on the AP ammo is quite poor for a tier 10 heavy tank, but Beyond made it work. As I say, nice amount of damage. He managed to bounce 3,200 damage with his armor, even though the armor on the 113 isn't particularly good. He spotted 2, damaged 11, destroyed 3, did 366 assistance damage, and earned 100 base defense points. And even though he did have to fire through some premium because he ran out of AP, he still made a profit of 5,700 credits in a tier 10 heavy. 1833 on a ×3 left him on 5,499. And next up, Beyond D is driving the T28 heavy tank concept, the tier 7 American tank destroyer reward tank. He is here on Kharkov, and it looks like a very uneven matchup. It's a tier 7 Unicum platoon in a tier 8 game. In fact, there's another Unicum on their team. So on paper, this looks like quite an easy matchup, but it doesn't work out that way. So Beyond sent this one in because it looked like a very interesting game. Or at least he said it was very interesting. I had a quick look at it, it turned out it was, but Heavy Tank Concept covered this when I was covering my own ace tanker in the tank. On a city map, play this thing like a heavy tank. You go forward, hope to have support, prevent enemy tanks from getting to your side and rear, because the frontal armor on this tank is quite good, but if enemy tanks get to your side, or specifically if they get to the rear, the rear armor on this tank is absolutely garbage. So 29 kilometers an hour top speed. Beyond is struggling to get above 22 kilometers right now, but he's just advancing. Plenty of support here on the north of the map, and he bounces on a Carnarvon, so switches to premium ammo, but like I say, the standard AP, 101 millimeters of penetration, sometimes a little bit lacking, but Beyond knows where the weak spots are. He's going for the lower glacis on the left hand side. That's where the ammo rack on the Carnarvon is. Looks like the Carnarvon might actually be stock. Beyond D doesn't carry that much premium ammo on this tank. He's bounced 3 shots already, and he's just continuing to move forward. T32 bounces as well, but he stays safe from the T32. He's going to use his gun traverse to come around this corner at an angle. And he sneaks up on the Carnarvon, goes for a track shot, and Carnarvon gets taken out by Beyond's platoon mate. So pretty standard game so far. Beyond has just advanced down one flank, playing aggressively, which is I think the best way to play this tank when you're on a city map. Sneaks up behind an ISU-152, has enough alpha damage to take him out. So, with 5 friendlies up in the north of the map versus 1 T-32, Beyond decides to ignore the T-32. He's going into the center of the map where a lot of enemy tanks seem to have congregated. And he's flanking in a T-28 heavy tank concept. So he notices that there's an AMX 1375 on low health here. I think he's planning to go help the AMX. So it's obvious he's got his eyes on this Tiger 2 who's still on a lot of health. He does get proxy spotted through the walls, so the Tiger 2 knows what's happening, and then a Centurion 1 advances. So as I say, the big danger of this tank is getting flanked. At the moment, Beyond D is perfectly safe. He moves up, and it looks like the Carnarvon's completely ignoring him. Beyond does have the gun traverse to take out the Tiger, but decides to go for the Carnarvon. Carnarvon gets taken out by a T-32 instead, so Beyond can focus on this Tiger. Kind of surprised the T-32 went for the Carnarvon instead of the Tiger, considering the Tiger was straight in front of him, but one less gun on the battlefield. Beyond has the reload, takes out the Tiger 2, and is now looking for shots. So does he reverse? Does he go forward? His platoon mates gets taken out by an IS-3. I think Beyond's being a little bit indecisive. Is he going to go help the ISU-152? I think he decides the ISU-152 is going to die regardless of what happens, and then an IS-3 appears. So Beyond D goes on the attack again, loads up premium ammo to go through the IS-3 because standard AP is not going to pen the front of an IS-3 reliably. He takes a big hit from the IS-3, goes forward, struggling with his gun depression. Oh, this is always the problem when fighting in these corridors or these arches. But he takes out the IS-3, but now Pershing has gotten to Beyond's rear, and Beyond has suddenly lost all his hit points. Beyond is on 19 hit points. Pershing's firing gold. Beyond is in a bad way. Goes for a shot in a KV-4, fails to pen. And he was lucky. He was very, very lucky to survive there. Looking for shots on the KV-4 and just can't pen him even with premium ammo. Manages to bounce the KV-4, but he's on 19 hit points. And he knows that there's an A44 that was last seen flanking. Meanwhile, the 5 tanks that were in the north of the map have taken their time killing that T32. And they're sweeping around towards enemy spawn, but Beyond has only got 2 rounds of premium ammo left. And he's really waiting for enemy tanks to flank him. A44 is on low health, there's a T28 prototype, and there's a KV-4 coming down from the right hand side. So on 19 hit points, what do you do? So Beyond is going to maybe try and track the KV-4, gets a shot into his side, manages to bounce the KV-4. KV-4 is on a lot of health, but Beyond should have the reload. Goes for the flat armor just below the turret, gets another shot in. Still on 19 hit points, and the KV-4 fires and tracks eat the shot. If the KV-4 had been clever, he would have been firing HE to take out the T28 heavy tank, but doesn't. So friends have now come around. Beyond is able to move up. Bounces on the KV-4, but still has to be careful, because if he drives around that corner, he's going to leave his side and rear open to the A44 and the T28 heavy tank or T28 prototype. In the meantime, KV-4 kills the T37, so 2 tanks to the left, 2 tanks to the right. Beyond goes for a shot in the lower glacis, unfortunately misses, and now he's down to his standard AP, manages to bounce the T28 prototype, has a side shot, takes him out. So where's the KV-4 gone? A44, Super Pershing still around here, A44 goes down. So Super Pershing, KV-4. And Beyond just has, I've forgotten the penetration on the AP, 101 millimeters of pen. Rushes a shot on the Super Pershing, bounces another shot. Oh, good track, good track. So Panther 88 tracks the Super Pershing. Beyond gets 1 shot in. He's trying to stay angled. He's still only on 19 hit points. Gets 1 shot in. And bounces the Super Pershing. He's going to have to get 1 more shot in. Is he going to reload in time? It doesn't matter, because the Super Pershing is able to ram Beyond to death. But a major, major fight here in the middle of Kharkov. Lots of enemy wrecks, lots of friendly wrecks. And now it's down to a T29 who looks to be stock. Somehow the KV-4 manages to bounce on the side of the T29, but the T29 is using a 90mm. It's a stock gun. There's no way the T29 is going to be easily able to deal with a KV-4. He needs the Panther 88 to support. Not moving into cover, not staying hulled down, and for some reason the KV-4 is firing HE. And that 90mm is never going to go through the KV-4, so... Can these 2 players pull it out? This looked like a very comfortable game when the match was loading in. It's turned into a very, very tight affair. So T29 and Panther are doing well for 2 players who don't know each other. And beautiful play by the Panther. Waits for the KV-4 to come around, tracks him. T29 can't pen the KV-4. That allows the Panther 88 just to move up, retrack the KV-4 with damage. This looks to be it. T29 takes another hit from HE, but the Panther 88 secures the game. But much, much closer game than XVM would have had you believe at the start of the game. So an ace tanker for Beyond D. I think he told me it was his first ace tanker in the tank, but ace and a high caliber as a tier 7 in a tier 8 game. Beyond finished top on XP with 1659, nice high XP game, 4,278 damage done, 4 kills, and he bounced about 8 shots while being on 19 health. That's how good the T28 concept can be when players don't know its weak spots or fail to get to its rear. Beyond fired 20, hit 19, pen 4 14. The penetration a little bit lacking, especially when you come up against heavily armored tier 8 heavy tanks, but a nice amount of damage, and he blocked over 4,000 damage with his armor. He received 16 hits in total and managed to block 13. It was only a ram kill that killed him in the end. He damaged 8, destroyed 4, did 189 assistance damage, and finished up with a loss because he needed to fire some premium, especially against the KV4 and the IS3, but 2,488 XP on a ×3, left beyond just short of 8k XP. But really good games. Thank you for sending them in to me, Beyond D. I know that when you send me replays, they're usually going to be fun to watch, and they were. I hope you guys at home enjoyed watching, and I'll see you next time.